name is Mundo. A little background about myself. I was in the Navy for 6 years. I did mass communication when I was in the Navy, which means I was a photojournalist, I was a videographer, photographer, graphic designer. I did a ton of things when I was in the Navy. One of those things was manage a command's social media page, right? I learned a lot of things while I was there, and I think it's important for you guys to understand that as well. We treated the ship's social media as if it was a small business, and we always made sure to emphasize that. And one of the biggest things that one of the biggest conclusions we came to was that it's important to just connect with people, right? So my presentation today is going to hopefully teach you guys to use social media to generate leads for your business, all right? One of the best things about social media is that you have cost-effective access to thousands of potential customers, right? You can target your reach. You can reach out to a lot of people, and you can have direct engagement with people from your phone, right? The hope is to drive people to your websites or to your brick and mortar business, right? But today what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over how to, on social media, attract and engage these target audiences, right? With the opportunity to convert them into actual paying customers, right? So why Instagram? We have 2 billion active users on Instagram, right? That's worldwide. And it's a very wide range of demographics. I think a lot of people like to think that it's a younger crowd, but it isn't. We have a lot of older people on Instagram now as well. A lot of people, with money willing to spend. So you also have a lot of different tools that you can use when you're on Instagram. Instagram is better than, for example, so you have the younger crowd, right? They're on TikTok or something like that. Instagram, as opposed to these other social media platforms that are purely for entertainment, allows you to give a detailed view of your offerings, of your business. And it allows you to connect with people in that way where you're just like, okay, I'm not posting here just to entertain you. I'm posting here to give you guys an idea of what it is, that my business is about. This is your public-facing profile, and you can have permanent things there that people can visit at any time, right? You also have a variety of content formats. You got some sort of social media platforms that are dedicated solely to video. Then there's others that are dedicated solely to posting text, photos, that kind of stuff, or lean majority in that direction, kind of like, Facebook. But there's a lot more that you can do, right? You have stories, you have static posts, photos, you have videos, and now you have Instagram threads, you can post text, right? So you can do a lot of different things on Instagram, and we're gonna go over what the purpose of each of these can be. Does that make sense? And then another thing that I wanted to touch on is that now Instagram has a lot of sophisticated tools for businesses, right? So I don't know, does everybody here have a business profile on Instagram? Building your profile. We're gonna start here because I've talked to a lot of people who, you're solid, you have a great business, but then when you go on Instagram, you also have to look very professional, right? So we'll start from the top. Profile picture. Make it clear what you do, okay? So make sure that it's a logo or something that represents your business, right? It can't be a random picture of a dog, because this is your business page, right? And then we have the username. So keep that username simple. I would avoid a lot of numbers in there, right? And then you want to avoid being too edgy as well, right? It can be your business name, but I would definitely just avoid excessive amount of numbers, all right? Then we have your bio. Your bio, think of your bio as your elevator pitch, all right? You want people to know exactly what you do, and you want to get to the point quickly. So, sorry? Does that say no assholes allowed? Yeah. Okay. We'll get to that. So yeah, I'd say keep it snappy. That's what I like to say about the bio, right? Who are you? What do you do? What's your location? And then I like to have a call to action in your bio, all right? So we have different things that you can do for a call to action. You have, for example, directing people to shop. directing people to visit your link, something like that. And then with regards to the no assholes allowed here, I would say if you're going to use humor, make sure that you don't try to be too edgy or really, there's a very thin line there. There's a very thin line there between being abrasive and being funny. So if you're going to do it, make sure it's good, right? I like to have these two examples here because Side Piece Kitchen, they're a local business here in Tacoma. And a couple of the things that we're going to talk about today, they do very well, which is they connect with their audience, right? It's not, we know their food's good, but I don't know if any of you guys follow them on Instagram. Yeah, we connect with them because of who they are and what they stand for, right? And that's a big thing that you can do as a business. All right, so we got contact info, include your email, phone number, your link to your website, right? You want to make sure that you're using that page effectively and you're directing people to go where they need to go, right? And then your links. Any of you guys heard of Linktree? I would definitely use a Linktree if you have multiple, links that you want people to visit. And then if you only have one link, use a link shortener. So you guys can go online, find a link shortener in order to make that link pretty neat, right? Just so that it's not something crazy. So if you see here, you got sidepiecekitchen.com, nice and clean. It's not a URL with a bunch of random numbers or whatever. And then the other one on the other side is TCG Catering, right? And then if we look at these two profiles here, you have, staying baked in Tacoma, Washington, no assholes allowed, banging biscuits and dank AF cheesecake, and then it has their hours and what they sell, right? So it's very to the point. And then you have TCG Catering. These guys are, they're a catering company. It's Tacoma, Seattle. They have their location. They have their job, right? What they do, caterer. You see that there on the top there. So that's something that you're going to have access to when you make a professional profile, when you have a business profile on Instagram, right? And then you have, let's celebrate life's moments by giving our guests an unforgettable experience. That's our call to action, right? That's what you're telling the people that visit your page. That's what you're telling them to do. This is how you create a business profile, right? So when you go to the 3 lines on the top corner of your profile page, that's going to open up your settings, right? Creator tools and controls. And then once you get there, there's a button on the bottom there that says switch account type. You're going to want to hit that one, and that can let you switch to either a personal account, a creator account, or a business account. Here's another example. I reached out to this girl and I told her, hey, I like your profile. It's very well put together. Can I use it as an example? And she was like, thank you, it's very flattering. Social media is very hard. But so I'd like to just direct you guys to, first of all, her story highlights here, right? So her story highlights, she does nails and she does tattoos, right? And you can tell very easily who she is by her page. Name, super simple, Crybaby Inc., right? Crybaby Inc., Tacoma tattoo artist. You got her name, nails and tattoos, location, again. Her actual address, right? And then here's the tattoo inquiry form. That's where her link is. And then over here in the story highlights, she has different things that basically lend themselves to facilitating the sale. Does that make sense? So I like to think of the story highlights as an extension of your profile. You want to create covers that match your branding, if you have a branding, if you have something like a particular look that you want to go for. And then you want to group the stories into categories that make sense. You could do products, reviews, behind the scenes, that kind of stuff. Interests. Anybody have any, input on what I could be talking about when I say interests? All right, so for interests, I have anything that captures an audience's attention. Hobbies, lifestyle, trends, passions, basically things that keep people engaged and encourage interaction on your page, right? It might feel like it's not related to your business, but I promise that it's important to connect with people on this level, Then we have their values. For values, I'd say that modern customers tend to gravitate towards brands that align with their personal values. It's not just about what you're buying from them. Now you're looking for a brand, and you're looking at whether they resonate with what it is you believe, what your worldview is, right? You see a lot of people boycotting businesses nowadays because they don't stand with what they're doing, right? So some examples: sustainability, social responsibility, innovation. Those are different values that people can have and that you can use as a business to attract people, right? These are ways that we're going to be able to connect with people beyond our service that we provide or our product that we provide. One way you can do that is highlighting how your business positively contributes to these values, and that's going to deepen your connection to your audience, right? And you can choose where you want to do this. We're going to go over how some posts that you make have more reach, meaning that they're like more outward facing, and then some posts are almost exclusively seen by your followers that you already have. So it's like, where do you want to take this risk when you're posting this kind of stuff? And needs. So needs is basically problems, desires, that kind of stuff, right? As a business, you can solve a pain or fulfill an aspiration that people have. And that when I talk about needs, it's just basically positioning yourself as a go-to solution for whatever it is that people want. Multiple audiences. So when I was in the Navy, we had multiple audiences. So I was in charge of the social media pages for a ship. We were out, we were doing missions and everything. But when we posted on social media, we had different people that we were trying to target. We had families of people that were stationed on the ship, right? We had Big Navy, which is, our bosses. And then we had the American people back home. So we can choose who we want to talk to. We talk to either, we're talking to the government, we're showing them that we're spending their money correctly, right? And then you have families of people who are stationed on these ships, and they want to know that their family members are doing well, that they're having fun, they're not having a horrible time while they're in the Navy. And then you have, what was the other one that I said? Sorry. The American people. So you want to tell the American people that we're doing good things out there, whether that be true or not. But so I had somebody that I worked with recently. Their business was a mobile talk therapist. Yeah, so that was their business idea. They were gonna have a bus that drove around and went to either people's homes or people's businesses and gave talk therapy. Yeah. She definitely had multiple audiences, right? Because she can choose whether she wanted to market to individuals on social media or whether she wanted to market to businesses who were like, hey, do you guys want somebody to show up to the workplace and have, therapy sessions for people or whatever, which I think was pretty awesome. I had another person that I was talking to. They were a wedding event business. I don't know how to call that. Right. Yeah, and they had a venue as well. One thing that I found very interesting about them is that you would think that their audience was people who are getting married and that's it. But that's such a small audience, right? When I looked through their social media, their 2 best videos on the page were 2 videos that they made about what it's like to start a small business. And it's like, man, those are the videos that most people gravitated towards. And it's like, you got a lot of clicks, a lot of likes, a lot of interaction on this. And it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be marrying people, but the way you got to think about it is when you're on social media, eyes are good. All eyes are good. And so that's the way I like to think about it. Had another person who was a writing coach. She was a writing coach, and she worked with people to basically stop what do you call that? Artist block, that kind of stuff. So a lot of her stuff was, very utilitarian, whatever it's called. But her best videos were when she had social commentary and activism. When she spoke about what she thought about what was going on in the country, those videos did the best. So that's what I mean by having people gravitate towards you because of your values, right? So very interesting that's what I observed on those couple pages there. Oh, content with intent. You have 3 things that you can lean into when you're making a post: community, relatability, and then you have risk and sales, right? So you have what you lean into is going to depend on what kind of business you are, right? So I have some examples of like what kind of business would lean into each one of these, right? So I want everybody to pause and think about what type of business they have and what they would lean into when it comes to, posting. Got a couple examples of different businesses that could utilize each of these. So relatability. This is you as a business trying to position yourself as something that people can relate to and feel connected with. I would say artists, clothing, and lifestyle brands would probably lean heavy into relatability when they're posting, right? And then you have community. So for community, you have like, for example, if you own a co-working space, a cafe, you have a gym, right? A nonprofit, something like that. That's where you're gonna lean into the community, and that's what you wanna show when you're posting on social media. And then risk, you got business to business services. If you're a consultant, real estate agent, utility, drop shipping, very technical services, right? If you're laying concrete or building a fence, you just want to build, trust when you're posting. So I have written down here, if your product is urgent, technical, or purely transactional, your social media should just focus on clear value, right? And just lean into it rather than trying to tell a story. So different types of content. You have carousels and static posts. You have stories and you have reels. Each of these types of content has a different purpose, right? So carousels or static posts, these are like photos that you're doing, photo dumps, the ones that people can scroll and just look at what you have going on. I like to think that if you're an artist, this is your portfolio, right? I would get professional photographs done. So if you have a particular product that you're selling that needs to look great and you're trying to have essentially a catalog on social media, then you're gonna wanna have, a lot of carousels on your page. This is stuff that you are okay with being permanent on your page. Does that make sense? I would use it to give updates on the business and make announcements and educate people as well as to what it is that you do. Some tips for that. I would use music when I post these. Use music. You can choose a song now when you post a photo, so go ahead and use that. Go into the trending sounds. That's going to help you with your reach. And then there's a type of carousel right now that's going pretty viral, or like people are getting it on their explore pages. So it's like essentially it's the authentic personal photos with informative educational text. So if you go sometimes on your explore page, you're going to see posts that it's just like a photo and then it says how to blah 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 blah, and you're scrolling and it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. Those videos are going very well too. Don't be afraid to lean into that, right? And then we got Reels. So Reels are mostly viewed by non-followers. So that's the interesting thing about Reels. 70% about. You want to definitely lean into relatable content and try to, go for those trends when you're doing Reels. You got 2 billion people interacting with Reels every single day, so you definitely want to get on the Reels. If you're not putting Reels up on your page, you definitely want to start doing that. So some tips to get good engagement. Authenticity, storytelling, connection, and a good hook. I would use audio, stickers, text, and definitely make sure that there's faces. There's no way to get around it. People want to see people. So if you go on your Explore page right now on Instagram and you're scrolling, you're going to see a lot of faces. There's no way to get around it. I know that some of us sell products, but even having a hand or even having a person's voice, that's important because people, relate better. You have different tools that you can use to make people feel welcome, right? Like if you're doing a talking head video, then you can do, one thing that I've heard of people doing is making a video where you're walking next to them. I'm sure you guys have seen these videos where the influencer's like, has the phone here and it looks like you're walking next to them and they're talking, something like that. Different things like that, a welcoming hand, telling people to come into your business, because it's a lot different of an idea than like you doing like a real estate video, where you're just walking through the apartment and you're just doing this. Like you're trying to show people where your business is, but it hits different when you have like a group of people walking in or you see people having fun, people, happy, enjoying your product. And then you have keywords, hashtags, that kind of stuff. One thing that I found very useful is using AI for hashtags. So ChatGPT is free up until a certain point, but if you're gonna make a post, go on ChatGPT and describe your post. Be like, hey, I have this post, whatever. This is everything that happens in the post. Just describe it. Be like, what are some good hashtags that I can use that are gonna help me get more reach on this post, right? And what you'll find is that ChatGPT will recommend hashtags, and it'll tell you, here's the reason I came up with these, here's the reason I came up with these, here's the reason I came up with these. What they recommend is using a combination of broad hashtags, and then you have more niche hashtags, and then you have like personal branding. So like, for example, something like small business is not, it's not gonna speak to people the same way as like Tacoma businesses, something like that. That's more niche. But you do wanna talk about what your product is. So like if you do like health and wellness, something like that. That's your broad hashtag, and then you have something more niche, and then you have like, beauty, that kind of stuff. It'll help you find which hashtags are like, this is a hashtag that's gonna reach like a bunch of people. This hashtag is gonna reach people in your city. And then you have, an even more niche hashtag that's gonna find people that are interested in what it is. You can use prompts and polls. So when you guys post, you have the option you can write a caption, right? Put your hashtags in there. And then there's buttons there that say, do you wanna make a poll? Do you wanna make a prompt or something like that? I would use those because those are telling the algorithm that you want people to talk on your post. That's what they want. The more they can get people to stay on their phones and talk and interact on their app, the better. So when you're signaling to the algorithm, I'm posting this because I want to hear people's opinion, then it's like, okay, cool. Show it to as many people as possible. Because believe it or not, even followers don't see every post you make, Like I follow people and I'll find out, oh, you posted this 2 weeks ago and I didn't see it. It wasn't on my feed. So the algorithm needs to know that you want people to see this. Exactly. Engagement is the key word here. That's what you want. You don't just want people to look at your stuff. You want them to like, you want them to comment, and you want them to interact, right? One thing that I do want to touch on is that you want to tackle one topic at a time, right? It's going back to what I was saying with multiple audiences, right? You can have multiple audiences, but if you're going to post about something, try not to be super all over the place when you're posting, right? You might have a lot of ideas, but make them into bite-sized videos. The standard is pretty much like 20 seconds nowadays. 20 seconds is the most you want to go with a video because people's attention spans are short. So keep those ideas, very precise, yeah. So I got some examples here. This is from my personal page. I didn't want to show anybody's stuff, but I'll show my stuff. So I did a video here, and this is just to show you guys the reach that Reels have, right? I had this video that I posted. Once again, I filmed this immediately, and I posted it immediately, like that night. I went home. It was like 40 minutes later, I posted it. A couple things I did. I used a poll. So when you go post, you have the option to add a poll. I wrote, what's your favorite strike to fake in sparring? It's a kickboxing video that I posted. And I said, what's your favorite strike? Because I wanted to hear from people from my gym to post. And then you'll know that you did it right because it'll say reply here, right? And this is what the algorithm wants to see. They want to see like posts that, want to make people interact with them, right? And then just to show you guys that basically the ratio from followers to non-followers is pretty high. Mostly non-followers. I got 90% non-followers, 10% followers saw that video, right? And then interactions, right? Likes, comments, saves. Once again, very high on that one. And then this is another one. So same thing. I just posted a video that I filmed immediately, posted it immediately. This is my birds. I try to get people to like my birds, but they don't like them. I don't know. People don't really like birds. But once again, this video did very well. And then I wanted to use this example to tell you guys about like sticking to one topic, right? So one thing that I've heard from people is that you don't want to make the algorithm work in multiple directions. So if something gave you a lot of feedback, maybe stick to that topic for the next couple videos until that well is dry. Does that make sense? Because what I did was I was like, oh, people like my bird video, let me post about something else. And then the interaction went down like crazy. And stories. Stories are mostly seen by your followers. It's almost 100%. Like only your followers are going to see your stories. So use them accordingly. Don't try to use them to reach people that don't know your business. Use them to talk to people that you already have, your captive audience, right? They disappear within 24 hours. And then I would say use them to show community. Use them to show community, highlight your services, highlight your, the customer reviews, highlight happy customers, people, posing with your product, that kind of stuff. You want to just celebrate and highlight the people that you already have following you, right? Let's see. I would also use them to maybe put out some polls if you want to do some research and like learn from the people that follow you, right? And then the story highlights. I just want to go back to the story highlights. You want to use them to highlight your services, specifics, and then just general housekeeping, things that you know that you need people to know. So going back to that Crybaby Inc., she has her general housekeeping there in the story highlights, if you see it there on the bottom, right? How do you book her? What are her designs that are available? And what's her policy? So I got, you have your link tree there. How do they find you? Her email is also there. You can make sure that you add that when you're creating your bio. And then her highlights. These are all things that your business profile should have, all right? And then lifetime of a post, we did touch on that. Most of the time, you're not gonna get any more, major boosts to views on posts after 48 hours. But if you are gonna post, during the day, if you want, the thing that you wanna keep in mind is assume people go to bed at 12 a.m., right? And you want to post to give that post as much time in people's feeds as possible. So if you post it at 7 a.m., that post is going to be up for 15 hours, whatever. You post at noon, it's only going to be up for, 12 hours. So just think about that when you post. You want people to see it. So here, you go to your insights. After you click the 3 lines on the top corner, you go to your insights, and then you go over to new followers, right? When you go there, you scroll all the way to the bottom, it gives you your breakdown. It gives you your breakdown of who it is that's on your page, men versus women, and then it gives you the most active times. You click on the day, and it'll tell you when the most active times are for your followers. This is when you want to post, right? So you want to make sure that you post around those times. And if you click each of these bars, it'll tell you the amount of people that are on too. It'll be like 180 people are on, and this is for each day of the week. The way this is broken down too, it's by month. So it's like very specific. These are actual like analytics that you can use. Like on the top right corner, it'll say like from May 9th to June 6th, this is your most active time. So it's very specific. It's not just throwing numbers at you. And then boosting engagement, because at the end of the day, that's the thing that you want to do on social media, right? You want to interact with these people. You don't want to just attract people and have them, just pass by your page. You're trying to attract potential customers. Boosting engagement. So I have be active, create community, and take inspiration here. When I say be active, I mean like, comment, and interact with people. I know this is a business page and it's not your personal page, but if Instagram thinks that your page is a dead page and it's just spamming people, it's not gonna push your content. It's like, man, this page is just like, they just post and then they disappear. They don't watch anything. They don't, you know what I mean? So you have to be on that business page and liking other people's posts. Not necessarily, entertaining yourself and watching funny reels, but like-minded, or like similar businesses. Like use it as your network, use that business page, and show Instagram that you're active on that page, right? And then I say create community, right? So people who feel they have a relationship with you are more likely to make the leap to becoming that paying customer, right? So I have this thing where you could go live. You could go live and talk. I've seen it work for a couple people where they're like, whoa, people are Yeah, I got questions. I got DMs afterwards, after my live, where I went live and talked. You can do that, but pick a topic, right? Pick a topic. Don't just go on and ramble. I would say I'm going live with this topic and I'm gonna talk for 10 minutes. And let's see who tunes in. Or I've seen people that are like, sorry, you had something?
No, maybe I just talked about it.
Or I've seen people that are like gym owners or something like that, right? Like I'm in like the kickboxing community, and they'll just put a camera up in the corner of the room and show like themselves teaching a lesson. I'm giving you guys a sneak peek into what it's like to be in my business. You know what I mean? Inspiration, polls, and prompts. So once again, if you go to those 3 little lines and you scroll down, you will be able to, sorry, let me find it here. If you go to creator tools and controls, right? Or when you're on your profile, you have that button under your bio as well. Once you go there, you got your tools there. So inspiration, you go to inspiration, it shows you videos that are similar to the content that you've been posting already. I personally don't like that because it's gonna show stuff that it's just not very good stuff. But this is really interesting here. Popular with your followers. You wanna look at stuff that's popular with the people that are already following you, and you're not looking at it so that you can copy it. You're looking at it to see what it is that people are doing in those first 2-3 seconds to capture people's attention, right? What sound is there? What kind of music, what trending sounds are your followers attracted to? And then, what kind of text is on the screen or whatever. Like, all that stuff is important for you to pay attention to. And then, this is what I was talking about with the polls and the prompts here. So when you post this video, you got the caption, you can write your caption, you can search hashtags here. I would definitely use ChatGPT for that, like I said. And then you got polls and prompts. So you can prompt somebody, if you want, because everybody thinks they're the funniest person on earth. So if you go and you tell them, you kind of incite people to make a joke, I don't know, I've seen a couple funny ones. Like, oh, what's this dude's name? And it'll be like a funny dude, and it'll be like, what's this dude's name? The comments blow up because everybody wants to come up with a nickname for the guy. And then you have polls asking people questions, yes or no questions, or this or that questions. If you have a product that you're selling, like which one do you like, chocolate or caramel, whatever, like that kind of stuff. Everybody's gonna participate. So I would definitely use that because these are signals to the algorithm that you want people to interact with your posts. So yeah, you're looking for similar pages, right? And you're looking for what hooks are working, what trends I can jump on, how are people framing text? That's a really big one. What kind of text, what kind of stickers, what kind of text are they putting on the screen that makes people really stay on these videos? And then another thing that I wrote down here, I put it in all caps, your current audience dictates whether your content is trash. So if the people that already follow you aren't liking something, then it's not gonna work with people that don't follow you, Right. So just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to make content. I think everybody here has insights that other people don't. A lot of people, I don't want to be mean, but a lot of people aren't doing amazing things, right? A lot of people are sitting home and they're watching TV or they're scrolling or whatever. You guys are doing something badass. You guys are starting a business. All of these things are things that you can talk about. You have insights. You guys are subject matter experts. You guys do have the answers that people are looking for. So go ahead and make content. You can always, there's always a topic that you can touch on. Let's see. And then if you need ideas, use the prompt. So if you guys are still lost, I came up with this. ChatGPT prompt for real ideas. This thing it's crazy. It's crazy. So this prompt here is if you guys are lost in terms of what it is that you can post. But I found that this prompt specifically can lend itself to a lot of different types of businesses, right? You don't have to just sell things. You can, if you're speaking, if you're helping people, if you're giving people information, if your business is giving people information, this helps a lot. Because I am insert your job description, and I sell whatever it is you do, your course, your product, or what it is you do. I help people, this is important, the second sentence. I help people do X, Y, and Z. Can you make me 365 Instagram Reel ideas that solve hyper-specific, whatever your industry is, problem, or whatever it is that you're trying to tackle, right? Each idea should solve one specific problem, and this is going to help you just have a ton of content to pump out. And then list each idea without a description and a numbered list. And this is the part that makes it so that AI isn't doing your whole job. You gotta come up with what it is that you're gonna post. But this is an idea without any further elaboration. It's not telling you exactly what to do, but it just gives you a huge list. And then we have conversions, just talking about how to, finally make that sale, right? You brought these people in, you attracted them, you made pretty content, you brought them in, you used polls, you used prompts, you got them to interact, you posted your stories, you gave them behind the scenes, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you guys are trying to, find customers and drive sales, right? I would say prime your audience first. Don't just, drop the sale on them. You want to make sure that you're priming your audience, meaning that you're showing them who you are, what it is that you do. You're not just sale, because it's gonna turn people off. And then I would say have calls to action on your posts, right? So have your posts and tell them like, visit my link or come on down to my business, that kind of stuff. But keep it to one. And then another thing that I like to say is that the less clicks it takes for somebody to do something, the better. And that's why I have, that link tree. Make sure that you have that link tree or the link to your website in your bio, because that makes it easy. I don't know if it's happened to you guys, but it's definitely happened to me. The easier it is to buy something, the quicker you make that purchase. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, cool. And then you just gotta grab your phone and like click the lock button 2 times and you checked out with Apple Pay. I'm like, damn, I already bought that. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? The easier it is to make the sale, the better. So try to make it as smooth as possible on your page, right? And then encourage people to ask you questions, right? Encourage people to ask you questions. They can do it on, you can do it on a story. You can be like, hey, ask me anything. I know you guys have seen those on Instagram. Use those, all right? And then I have Instagram Shop here. This is just like if you have stuff that you can ship to people or an actual product that you're selling, you want to look into setting up an Instagram Shop. The thing about this though, and I'm not going to get into it too hard because I know that you guys are all, you're local, you're brick and mortar businesses here in Tacoma, but there's always, the possibility that you guys are selling stuff online. It's really good to set it up because now you can run ads for products on Instagram and be like, you take a picture or something like that and you tag the product in the post and people can click, right? They see your post, they see you wearing that bag or whatever, and then they can click on the post right there. And like I said, the less clicks, the better. The less clicks it takes to buy something, the better. And like I said, yeah, shorten the process for buying from you. The less clicks, the better. And that's it. That's all I have. Well, I hope that, what you guys, leave with today are just actionable tips for like how you can start today, right? I really think that, it's super important to just have a professional looking public facing page. And I gave you guys that handout, right? I got you on the handout, don't worry. So I gave you guys that handout, and the handout basically is breaking down a little bit of basically everything that we did today. It's just how can you get started today? What are the steps? Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. This is the first thing you gotta do. Second thing you gotta do, get that bio in check, get the story highlights in check, and just make sure that you're posting consistently. Try to prioritize Reels because Reels have the most reach. Use your posts to give updates about your business, and then use the stories to highlight customers and to highlight your day-to-day, what it's like, to run your business, all right? Thank you, guys.